What's going on, guys? So, I get a lot of questions about towing. A lot of times it's related to certain types of pickup trucks and what my recommendations are in terms of what they're capable of towing. And a lot of times the questions simply revolve around, I am not new to towing, but I haven't towed an RV before, and I simply want to get kind of a perspective on what it's like, things I should be careful of, things I should look out for. And I thought this would be a really good topic to talk about. So let's try to do that. Hang tight, I'll be right back. All right, so it's another beautiful windy day out here today. I'm out here with the RV. I actually came out here because I wanted to check on some things. We had some pretty violent storms tear through here, and I just wanted to make sure everything was okay. But I thought this would be a really good opportunity to talk about a topic that it's really important to understand, because there's so many folks who consider buying an RV and they're considering what type of tow vehicle they need, what type of tow vehicle they have. And towing an RV can be very different from towing other types of trailers. So if you're in the market for an RV and you want to really build your mindset around what it's like to tow an RV with your truck, and I'm going to try to make this universal to both fifth wheels and travel trailers, even though both of them tow very differently. So the first thing that I always like to tell people is you want to have a comfortable towing experience. There's a lot of folks out there who get into RVing and they think it's going to be the same as every other trailer they've ever towed. Or if you've never towed a trailer before, you go into it with this perception that towing a trailer is super easy and there's nothing to stress out about. Or you go into it with the perception that there is a lot to stress out about, and is this something you really want to do? The first thing you really need to do is wrap your head around what towing is going to be like for you specifically. And if you've never towed a trailer, that can actually be kind of difficult, because towing a trailer for the first time or even the second or third time is kind of the equivalent of getting into your first fight. Now, I don't want to compare the two exactly, but I think a lot of people might understand where I'm coming from. Maybe even the feeling that you might have had at some point if you thought you were going to get into a fight. And what I mean by that is you have this nervous expectation. You don't really know what's going to happen. You don't know what the outcome is. So a lot of people, before they take off towing, they get really nervous. They start to wonder if it's something that's going to be safe, if it's something they should do. And believe it or not, a lot of people psych themselves out. They believe that it's just too much. It's too big. It's just too much to take down the road. And that's really regardless of the size of trailer you tow. And this can come into play even with normal trailers, not RVs, right? Utility trailers, dump trailers, things like that. There is a hesitation. There is a certain level of anxiety that goes with towing a trailer, period. Sometimes it's simply the anxiety of hoping that you can back it up if you need to back it up. Maybe you pull into a gas station and you need to know that you can get out of that gas station safely. Sometimes it's trying to determine if you're going to be able to take a path that you're not going to scrape the top of your RV, or you're not going to be too wide, or you're going to be able to make the turning angle that you need to make in correlation to the length of your RV and where your axles are. Believe it or not, people who tow all the time will tell you probably 80% of the time they probably have the same anxieties that you do. They go away rather quickly once you get on the road, unless you're traveling to an area that you've never been, or you're taking a route that you've never gone on. Anxiety with towing oftentimes isn't because you're towing, it's because you can't predict what other people are going to do on the road. My biggest stress whenever we tow this fifth wheel, which is a very large fifth wheel, very tall, very wide. We're roughly 43 feet long. We're super tall. We're roughly 8.5 feet wide, and we're very heavy. But my biggest anxiety whenever I tow the fifth wheel isn't what I'm going to do. It's the situations people might put me in and what I'm not able to do. So for instance, when we go RVing, one of the challenges that I have to mentally be prepared for is that we're going to travel through a city during rush hour, or we're going to be traveling through a town or an area where traffic's going to be super heavy. There's going to be a lot of interexchanges, a lot of overpasses, a lot of exits, and you're going to be working your way into traffic. And when it's just your pickup truck, sometimes you think in your mind, you know what, this isn't that difficult, but it is still kind of stressful to travel during rush hour when you're not towing anything. So imagine you got this gigantic beast behind you and you're trying to get in and out of traffic. You're trying to enter onto an interstate, work your way across 3 or 4 lanes so you can exit off before you pass your exit. These are things that I believe anybody towing any type of trailer mentally have to prepare themselves for. Whether it's an RV, whether it's a small utility trailer, whether it's a cargo trailer, you always have to prepare yourself for the fact that traffic is going to be your biggest obstacle. And of course the route, right? Which way are you going? If you're towing something super tall, long, and wide, you know, are you going to be able to fit under underpasses, overpasses? Are you going to be able to go the route you want to go without possibly contacting something? But the one piece of anxiety that I know gets to most people who get into RVing is towing their RV with other traffic. How are you going to merge into traffic? How are you going to exit? And it really only takes having a few stressful situations to really keep that anxiety up every single time you go RVing. Because I certainly know, you know, when we travel and we have to go through San Antonio, and then we have to go through Austin, and then we have to hit Dallas, you know, these cities, even Waco or smaller cities, you hit a part of that city, if you're not careful, that can really cause you to stress out. It can really make you anxious while you're driving. It can make you white knuckle, even if you're not experiencing any sway, even if you're not experiencing any tow related issues. Just the fact that it seems as if nobody wants to let you into traffic, nobody wants you to be able to merge, nobody wants you to be able to turn. And then once you finally weave your way in through traffic and get to where you're trying to go, you have a sharp turn, or you have some type of a turn within a smaller street, and you just don't have the ability or the room you thought you would need. And maybe you're able to do it, but you come away from it kind of traumatized, thinking, is this what it's going to be like every single time? Now, I know a lot of folks, again, who have towed very small trailers, first time ever towing, and they experience that anxiety. So imagine if you are towing something really large. That anxiety can triple and quadruple and really start to stress you out whenever you're on the road. So what I'm going to try to do here is first of all, I wanted you to know that it's relatable. That I think almost anybody who tows a large RV, when they first take off and they're heading to a place that they may not have been, or maybe a place they haven't been in a long time, they think about that. At least I do. And I think most people who tow trailers think about that. And you know, when you realize that you're not the only one on the road that thinks about it, then you know that brings a certain level of peace and calm into your life. But it doesn't mean it's going to fix the problem. Fixing the problem is largely a part of how you prepare. It's what you plan on doing. It's if you have the right tow vehicle, if you have the right RV matched to that tow vehicle, how many people you have in your vehicle with you, how much stuff you're carrying with you, and more importantly, the route you plan on taking, and perhaps the time you plan on taking that route. If you plan a trip to where you are going to end up in a very congested area of a large city's downtown, or a large city's, you know, inter-exchange system during rush hour, well, you can expect that you're going to be stressed out. There's just no way around it. And if you're not stressed out because you're towing, it's going to stress you out that other people on the road might not be treating you as nice as you might think they should. They're not going to be as willing to let you merge into traffic as you might think they will. You must plan your trip accordingly. You must plan your trip assuming that if you go through a city during the peak of traffic, you're going to have a bad experience, and you're going to have a dangerous experience, and you're going to have an experience that you might panic in, or you may do something that gets you stuck in a situation that's hard to get out of. So that type of anxiety can absolutely creep up on you. And what I really encourage you to do if you plan on traveling is take the time and plan your trip out. Plan where you're gonna be, plan where you can stop, plan alternate routes around areas that can be very congested. If you look on a map, or if you look on Google and you determine that the route that it has you going is gonna make you maybe take an overpass and enter onto an interstate, have to cross 6 lanes of traffic, and then exit off within a quarter mile, plan an alternate route. Or allow your navigation just to plan it for you. A lot of the mapping tools that come on smartphones will reroute your trip the minute you pass your exit, if it thinks you've passed it. Being able to accept that and realizing that it's not so bad passing an exit that might have been the quickest route if it means that you're taking a safer exit that might be a few miles down the road. And that's the thing that I really want people to think about. If you're going to be traveling, I think the number one stress that many people have with traveling, aside from all the environmental factors, all the weather-related factors, is traffic, other folks on the road, that unpredictability. I would absolutely say don't stress out. Your best best positive tool in your arsenal is technology, and that technology will get you to where you want to go. It may take you a little longer. You may have to miss a few exits that you thought you had to take, but it's worth missing those exits if it keeps you from making traffic-related mistakes that can put you or other people in danger. This is absolutely one of those reasons when I give my towing recommendations, I give them the way that I do, because you have so many factors that are going to determine whether you have a good experience while you're taking your RV out. Why not prepare yourself for the best possible experience? Why not have a truck that's more than capable for towing your RV than a truck that's barely capable of towing your RV? Why not have a route that gets you there maybe a few minutes later, or maybe even an hour later, but it gets you there feeling calm, cool, and relaxed versus stressed out and, you know, having to tell stories of how you almost sideswiped 6 cars and you had to cut everyone off to take the exit that you thought was ideal. Your best friend is going to be patience. It really is. Your best friend is going to be an eye towards perfection, in the sense that your goal is to get where you're trying to go alive, safely, stress-free, without endangering your family, yourself, or anybody else on the road. And when you start to realize that the easiest way to accomplish that is simply by maybe patience, is simply by maybe accepting the fact that you don't need to get somewhere as fast as you thought you needed to get there, or that you didn't have to follow that exact route that Google or that Apple told you to take to get somewhere, or that you didn't have to take that specific exit that, you know, if you miss that exit, you've just tacked on another 15 minutes. If you are flexible with how you travel, it will open your mind up to being a lot more stress-free. Basically planning your route so you get there in a relaxed manner. That is really the best advice I can give you, because I don't know how everyone feels about towing. I don't know what your experience is. I don't know if you've towed trailers your whole life and you just want to get into RVing, you're trying to figure out what the best trailer truck is. All I know is that I get a lot of folks asking me what they can do to ease their towing experience, and I'm going to tell you the easiest way to quantify that, first of all, is to understand that everyone who tows trailers or big RVs is probably a little stressed out when they tow. Their anxiety is high. It's one of those things, the minute you start pulling your RV off of your storage lot, off of your driveway, wherever you're pulling it from, and you take off, you're instantly kind of thinking about the things that you could encounter and the scenarios that could take place. I think that's everybody. That's me for sure. And then once you start realizing at that point, let's just try to focus on the things that will get us to where we're going safely and not fret the small stuff. The small stuff is trying to make the exit. The small stuff is trying to get there exactly at a certain time. Those are the things that are really going to cause you to have a poor towing experience. The best possible way to get somewhere safely is to take your time, be aware of your surroundings, make sure you have the right vehicle, make sure you have the right RV, everything is connected properly, all your tires are inflated, you've done your pre-trip, you've done the things that you need to do to ensure that your equipment is safe, and you're ready to hit the road with your mind focused on the trip, how you're going to make it there, but not necessarily how quick you're going to make it there. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this video. I just wanted to come out here and talk about it because, you know, it's definitely a topic that people ask about. First time towing an RV can be very stressful, and I hope this helps. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again very soon.